A manager once said something that completely changed how I think about careers. He said, when an opportunity comes up, I already know who I am giving it to. That surprised me a bit because I assumed, back then that bosses and managers usually would look at performance report, who works the hardest, who has the most technical skills, who stayed the latest. But it continued. By the time the opportunity comes, the decision has already been made. Not because one person was the smartest, but because the person had built something far more valuable, which is trust. That conversation stayed with me forever because I realized that careers don't grow because people are capable or people have technical strength. Grow because people become trusted, and those are not always the same thing. I mean, technical know-how and building trust, right? And this is one that's also helped me in my journey as a young professional. Welcome to Diary of a Young Professional. My name is Fitoluwa Dunsin. In the last episode, we talked about career capital, the things that make you more valuable over time. Today, we're talking about one of those important forms of career capital, which is trust. Because opportunities rarely go to people others are unsure about. They go to the people others are confident in. But here's the interesting part: trust isn't built in big moments, it is built in hundreds of small moments. Most people think that um, trust is saying the right things, the right, we're putting those English together. But that's not what trust is about. Trust is built when your actions become predictable. Think about who that you trust the most. You don't trust them because they told you they were reliable. You don't trust them because you know they've told you to trust them. You trust them because they have consistently shown you over time that they can be trusted. The workplace is exactly the same thing. People don't remember promises, they remember your patterns, right? Early in my career, I thought that trust came from doing excellent work. Trust me, excellent work is good. But I noticed something more deeper. The people, managers, and bosses relied on the most weren't just talented, they communicated. If they were running late, they would communicate early. If there was an error, they would own up to it. If something wasn't clear, they asked the right questions, right? So it made it easy for people to be able to work with them. That's when I realized something more bigger. Trust isn't built because you are perfect. No, it's not about, you know, how technical you are, how well you know your job. It is built now because you are more dependable. Most professionals think that trust is built, during big presentation, major projects, important meetings. Sometimes, even more than often, trust is built in moments nobody celebrates. Even in ordinary moments, replying messages when you said you would, showing up prepared, meeting up with deadlines, following through, you know, giving updates without being chased, doing what you said you would do when you say you would do it. One thing I want you to know is that nobody applauds these things, this moment, nobody necessarily applaud them, but people remember them. And that's how you're building your own reputation at work. Here's what many professionals don't realize: trust take months or even years to build, right? But it can disappear quickly. Not because you made one mistake. Trust me, mistakes do happen. Trust usually breaks because of pattern. Remember, I said earlier that trust is also built on pattern. Trust can also be broken based on patterns. People stop believing your word. You consistently need reminder. You avoid difficult conversations. You hide problems until they become so big that you cannot hide them anymore. You blame others instead of taking responsibility. People stop worrying about your ability. They start worrying about your reliability. That's much harder to recover from. I want you to ask yourself a different question today. Not, am I doing my job question? No. Ask yourself, if I were my own manager, will I trust myself with something bigger? Will I trust myself with an important client, with a major presentation, with a leadership opportunity, or even a bigger, project, a confidential project? Can I trust myself with these things? Because that's exactly how careers move. Responsibility will always precede promotion, and trust always comes before responsibility is handed over to you. So, if there's one thing I want you to remember today, it is this: people don't build remarkable careers because they know everything. They build remarkable careers because people know they can be trusted. Your reputation isn't built in one extraordinary day. No, it is built in ordinary days. The emails you send, the promises that you keep, the deadlines that you honor, the conversations you don't avoid, the integrity you show when nobody is watching. Those moments may feel small, but together they become your professional reputation, who people perceive you to be. And in the workplace, trust is one of the most valuable currencies you will ever earn. This is the era of the young professional, where we build careers intentionally and not by accident. And if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so now.